Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 107. The mysterious Department of Historic Preservation has been raising new questions of late. Has the glowing man truly been united with his family in the past? Who's really behind the time tank? We're going to find out most of the information on those things in this very episode. I'm Snoggle, and as usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Nick. How are you doing?
I feel for Tariq.
I do too.
It's a rough ride. And I'm excited to talk about this issue. It's really cool. Something very special. Something very, very, very special. But before we get to any of that, we need to shout somebody out to kick things off in our usual fashion.
Ooh, I like this shout out.
Yeah, this one's a special one. This is for a Ghost Machine superstar. And it's for Peter Snejbjerg. And he made this really funny, cool Hornsby and Halo trade paperback release video that came out about a week ago or so. And it was him holding the trade paperback saying, "Hola, Hornsby and Halo at your local comic book store today. Go buy it." Or the funny part was that at one point he's just like, "Go buy it now." That's what he says. Go buy it now. And
I love it.
Yeah, so it was a funny video, and we're and shouting that out because it was cool, but also he was kind enough to collaborate with us on that funny video. So
I love it.
That was really, really fun. I appreciated that very much. So excited to see more Hornsby and Halo. You know, if you look back into early aughts era DC, there's a lot of Peter Snejbjerg sleeping out there that you can enjoy.
Nice.
Really good. Yeah. I've been doing that a little bit on the side. But enough about my strange reading habits, because Snoggle is back in the newsroom.
So today is Wednesday, May 13th, which just so happens to be the release date for Geiger 23, which we will be deep diving into today. It's the Michael Jordan issue. So it's a good one. Also, huge news. The glowing family, and just to be very clear, that is me, Nick, and our son, Bruce, will be visiting San Diego Comic-Con this year. Whoop!
Have you ever been to San Diego Comic-Con, Snoggle?
Fun fact, I have never been to San Diego.
And can you count? I know you've been to a comic book convention, because I think I've been to a comic book convention with you when we met Tony Moore. But can you count on one hand how many comic book conventions you have been to in your life?
Yes, I have been to one.
So it was the one you took me to.
Yes.
Years ago. Okay. So
I've been to one Comic-Con and one Gen Con.
That means that you're going to San Diego for the first time. We're both going to a Comic-Con, which is rare, because last time I went was 2019, and that was like a random thing that was important to me. And then before that was like 20 years prior. So suffice it to say, we don't do this very much. And most importantly, it will be our son's first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. And I believe, it'll be his first comic book convention. We don't go to a lot of comic book conventions. So I suppose we're going to like set the expectation kind of high, but it's like a big one. But Ghost Machine's going to be there. Obviously, that is the reason we are going to go. We want to check out whatever they have going on, as well as swim in the ocean with our child. Hope to see you all there too. Let us know at ghostmachinefans@gmail.com if you're going to make it to San Diego Comic Con. I know Michael Schwartz is going to be there. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about San Diego today. We're talking about the world of the Unnamed and post-apocalyptia in the future with Geiger 23. But before we spoil this issue and deep dive into it, we have to talk about the 3 fantastic covers that are available to you if you skedaddle out to your local comic book shop and pick it up today on Wednesday, May 13th, while you still can. And the first cover is Gary Frank and Brad Anderson, the usual superstars. And it's the Northerner like falling through glass, and then the shards of the glass are all different scenes from the world of the Unnamed.
Yeah, I see that purple necklace.
Oh yeah, that's the Widow X.
Yeah, right by his head.
Right by his head. And then right beneath that is Martin Luther King Jr. And there's a scene where it looks like him and a child, or he is the child, or in like an area where with segregation.
And then there's a funeral scene.
Yeah, don't know who that is. Kind of looks like Bruce Wayne.
Probably the funeral scene. Could we not assume it's Widow X?
Meaning because the lady has the hat?
Yeah, and, widow.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, for sure. That's a good call. And the hammer and sickle on the corner there. And the lady from the Historical Preservation Society. You've got one of the kids that was Geiger's friend, one of the crazy hooded dudes, one of the robots.
I like it. I like the use of color too, because the yellow and orange in the background really give this like some light and more movement. Very good. Amazing job.
And it's not just blue. I like the blue light, the blue magic light / technology light. I want more of that. But it's not just that. So, because we're starting to get some wrinkles in this that kind of say, like, wait, how many different forces are at play behind the various lights, as it were. But the B cover is pretty sweet. You like this artist?
Mm-hmm.
Francis Portela, who has penciled several entire Hyde Street issues. We like him. And he did a series of negative space illustrations where he worked the character's clothing into the black background, like he did a Mr. X-ray one where you couldn't see the suit very well, similar to this. And I like that. I think it's really neat that Brad still did the colors, and with this type of art, it makes his hands really kind of glow and stick out in a different way.
I like it.
Number 3 was a knockout, though.
Yeah, Lee Ferguson and Brad Anderson. I love this. The organ person with the eyes and
I just really like this style of art. And it's still Brad Anderson that did the colors, but it's really interesting to see Brad Anderson did the colors for all 3 of these covers, but all 3 have a super different feeling. And I just like the way that Ferguson draws characters. I don't know the best way to explain it. I just like his action shot. I think it's cool. I like the little tooth that's coming out there. I would like to see, I feel like I could enjoy multiple pages of this artist, not just on covers. But so that's a virgin cover too, no logo on it. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is cool.
So those are the 3 covers available to you if you're going to get your hot little hands on this issue. And that makes this your spoiler pause for Geiger 23. All right, Snoggle, we've made it, and we need to know who's responsible for this fine work.
It is our usual suspects, creators Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, our color artiste, Brad Anderson, our king of letters, Rob Lee, #1 editor in all of comics, Brian Cunningham.
Yeah.
And our designer, Steve Blackwell. And
All right.
I love how this opens up, and the colors are very much like the colors of when we knew that someone had time traveled to look at Junkyard Joe and the family. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Where everything was alive.
You mean in the scene like with Junkyard Joe and the barbecue?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, like pre unknown war.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so there's been some build up to this though, right? Because we saw the cover with the Northerner and Tariq looking at his family from a distance, which we've talked about. We've agreed, it doesn't have to necessarily parallel exactly, and it didn't, and that's okay. And then the last issue that was one of the covers for the last issue. And so in the end of the last issue, he ends up touching the knob in the Detroit office of the Department of Historical Preservation. And that zaps him out somewhere. And then the last issue was started with his son and his whole family in this yard seeing him. So we were like, oh, okay, they can actually see him. It's not going to be like he just observes.
Yeah.
And it picks up right there. I did not expect it to be that. I thought it was going to be more like a MacGuffin, like maybe he saw them for like 3 seconds and then got zapped out. I did not expect like contact.
I think the contact makes it more significantly sad, to be honest. And it's going to turn him back into green glowing man filled with rage. I mean, in my opinion. But I thought he was in the hospital until tomorrow. And it's almost like the mom kind of is like, what's going on here? Because she says, Marcus, stay here. And
well, he looks different, right? And he's armed and armored. So it's kind of like, well, he looks like my husband. If my husband was a post-apocalyptic action hero.
It would send me pause if you showed up, shaved head, wearing a cape, muscles. You have muscles, but significantly larger than they were before, and like a full just going to battle outfit. It wouldn't give me pause. I'd just assume you were doing a video.
But this leads to like all three of them come up and they're like, hey, Daddy, Tariq, Daddy, even the dog. And then there's this whole page spread of just this magnificent Gary Frank. It's like, you can't even, it's a mind blowing of him with his arms around his family and embracing them with the dog rolling around on it, the grass.
Sobbing. Oh, the saddest thing. Did the doctors fix you?
Right. So we know it's not that far from the change for all intents and purposes. It could be rather close, actually. And
says, don't go away again.
I know that's what his daughter says. And in that moment, he's ripped back through, and you can see the way he's drawn that. And it's a really cool panel how it shows Tariq being pulled away and Tracy reaches out for him and he says Marcus and Violet's names. And it's at a point to me it makes me feel very clearly like something is plucking him from there and pulling him out. And I appreciate that type of visual dynamic as opposed to a text box that just says that and then like kind of shows it. Like I just think it's smarter and I think it looks cool.
Can I nerd out about time travel for just 2 seconds here? So if that happened in the past, that means if the timeline wasn't messed up, then that happened within his timeline. So I'm just wondering why they never said anything to him. You know, you came back and then you were thrown away in some blue light. So we'll get more into it as this goes on, but I wonder if there are different timelines where his family is alive.
What you're describing is a time paradox, because what it is that Tariq goes into the past, sees his family. You're asking, okay, as a result of that, why doesn't Tariq have a memory of his family telling him about seeing that occur? And I think that that's a kind of a paradox because it means that, I mean, that's kind of like one of these time travel debate things, because it would mean like, if that's how that works, in that moment, he should have some sort of jarring change.
Yeah.
If there's not multiple timelines that forces a memory into his brain.
Yeah.
Or something crazy. So I don't know. This isn't about that. And I don't care if that's ever really explained, but I do like thinking about it.
For me, one of the best explanations of like kind of time travel in Harry Potter, hear me out. They have a time turner, and essentially dang near everything that occurred the first time you saw this series of events, they affected in the second time they went back and was trying to change things. Like, in the first time, they didn't realize that they were already there because they'd gone back in time to like knock a pot over, save an animal. I don't know. It was just an interesting way to view it because it had happened before. It was just part of the timeline, you know?
Well, that's why, depending on who you talk to, especially if they're a Jeff Johns fan, there could be infinite multiverses.
Mm-hmm.
There could be 52 multiverses, or there could just be one. But it really just depends on the calendar year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think 52 is a great number. I even like the new 52, and we probably just lost a listener or two because I said that. So he gets pulled back to the Detroit in the future and dumps right back there. And he's like, I got to get back to the kids, my family. And it's like, man, that's horrible and emotional. But in all reality, like, yeah, I guess you would go back there and tell them to move and to get to like a different place of shelter to survive what was going to happen. Or you would like try to contact the government and tell them something was coming. Like, who knows? Other than Dr. Molotov being involved, I don't know that there's a lot he would have been able to just forcibly change. And it was pretty close to when it happened, it looked like.
Yeah. It's maddening, honestly.
Yeah, it's because you feel for the guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, who wouldn't? Like, I've lost a couple of friends in an untimely, tragic manner. And like, to be put back into a place where you get to see them again and then instantly, I mean, that's a lot. And those are just friends. Like my family, you know, all the tragedy surrounding that.
For sure.
That'd be hard.
And they still haven't even gotten inside this office at this point. That's the thing. All that happened from just the doorknob touch. So it looks as though there was some sort of magical / time technology failsafe that involved that for whatever reason. Presumably because it wanted to. I would assume it was to either remove Tariq Geiger from finding that room or just anybody in general from finding that room. It ports them out to a different time place.
I love the fact that he was just like, what just happened? And this is where I told you we're going to start to see Rage Tariq. Because he just bust down that door. No greenness needed.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you won't let me in? And then it's just a boring old office.
Well, that's the thing. And keep in mind that as this evolves, there's two forces involved, one of which we don't know. So It's just this empty little room with a desk phone, like a rotary desk phone.
Yeah, with that date again, August 36th.
Yeah, and that's the Widow X. That's the Widow X Find Me date. At least that's what we think it is, based on like that, what happened in that last issue. So that is on the wall. That's also in the time tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the so in here it's on the wall. It's in the drawer when Tariq pulls the drawer out. So Tariq must have been good at like adventure games on the PC.
Yep. Or the detective games.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fine, click on this. Is that evidence you need?
And so he finds that again. And he then, Tariq kind of starts to try to figure out what the heck happened.
He raged out a little bit too.
He's freaking out. Like, was it just a memory? And that's a good question. He says, was it a memory or was that real? And it seemed like he really went into the past, but maybe it was some sort of thing that makes you relive something. And it's like, who knows?
Yeah. Imagine two people are just like, WTF just happened. One of them's super mad. One of them's super confused. And you're in this weird office and then and there's nothing connected electricity wise, right? In this new world? Maybe, yes?
We've seen that kind of stuff now in the middle of abandoned Detroit.
That's what I'm saying. And the phone rings. It feels like something out of like, I mean, yes, obviously there's a lot of science fiction-y things.
The light works in the room. So yeah, it seems like it still has power of some kind.
A phone ringing would give me a lot of pause.
And especially a rotary phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because nowadays a rotary phone probably make people feel a little creeped out. And Rob does a good job of reminding those of us who have used rotary phones in their lifetime of what it sounds like when you grab the headset. And he just does it with a KLK, but it's very much like, oh yeah, I know what that sounds like. Well, well done, Rob Lee, King of Letters.
I like it.
But the lady on the other end knows Malcolm North.
And I think it is funny. Like, I was hoping you wouldn't find that door. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because he said that's where he met her before.
It's like he's been there.
Maybe she doesn't. Maybe in her timeline, that person isn't the same one or hasn't met him yet then.
Because it's Mrs. Freeman, right? And she's like, I didn't send you to the area you're in right now. It was a mistake and it wasn't an authorized action.
In the world of Just Johns, she says, sending you to this era was ... not an authorized action. And that means that she's hiding something.
Yeah.
If there was no ... and it was just that statement, it would simply be, we didn't authorize this.
Yeah.
That's the significant difference between just those 3 dots.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, it was a mistake. I told you history had been interfered with. And he's like, but you told me the future was broken. You said I could prevent a war. And she said, I told you history had been interfered with. There's a difference. And then they go back and forth a bit. And the gist of it is she's like, we fix history that changed. We don't fix bad things necessarily or good things. We fix things that weren't supposed to change. So her whole thing is, you fought the cobbler. You stopped those guys. You stopped this. The South didn't win, but that has nothing to do with the unknown war because, quote, there is no evidence that temporal displacement caused the unknown war.
It's very poetic when she says, history has always burned. Not every fire is arson. I was like, whoa.
And then she does clarify through the little cool old school speakerphone thing that reminds me of Mad Men or something. She says, when you forced the door, it triggered a safeguard. It placed you where you would not cause harm. It alerted us, but it was never meant to last. It makes you wonder what percentage of people's place that they would not cause harm is heartbreaking. Probably most.
Yeah, I just did they have to do that so she would I don't understand the point of that.
So top 10 Jeff Johns, maybe top 5, maybe top
Uh-huh.
3 Jeff Johns written things of all time is he says why wasn't it meant to last? Talking about going into the past and the safeguard, he says why. So and she says, because if we rewrite history for every broken heart, there is no history left. And that's a pretty big one, because the whole point of that is if everything was happy go lucky and sunshine and rainbows, there would be no stories to tell, right? Everything would be fine. And that's just it's just a panel, just a little panel. Well, I just think that's amazing.
Now both of them are angry, by the way.
Super angry, but we get some wrinkles. Like she mentions the Restoration Guild and how that they were interfering in only the Civil War. But that means we know that there's a crew of people calling themselves the Restoration Guild trying to do things to change time. And the cobbler was a part of that. That's cool.
What I do think is interesting is I think more than the Restoration Guild and her are doing things, because she says the time tank was never sanctioned by us. Someone placed it into the stream. We're recalling it. So one would think them getting the time tank was actually somewhat useful. So that obviously wasn't like evil time manipulation.
So they zap the time tank out, and he's like, well, and who did send it? And she says, somebody who means well, but does not understand this is about preservation, not change. Now, the past still needs you. The Civil War remains under threat. Trigger your watch. So it's like, hey, get back to work, buddy. Get back to the mission. The mission's not done yet. That means there's like a person out there. There's like a Uncle Reggie in the Rockefellers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Who's out there dropping time tanks and being like, hey, Tariq, check us out. Like, take this tank for a while. Like, but it's like, wait a minute, hold on. This tank had stuff in there for Widow X, stuff in there for Simon Pure. You know, like, this is their team tank. So I have a feeling that the person that means well but doesn't understand this is about preservation, not change, is going to be, maybe Widow X is out there messing with that. Maybe she sent it. And maybe that's why she was able to sort of like talk to the Northerner in his sleep or whatever.
I think that she knows more than she's letting on, because they're both furious. And she's like, I don't care. You got to get back to make sure the Civil War goes the right way. Trigger your watch. And he says, I'm not leaving until I know what caused the war in his world. She's got to know, right? And she says, I hoped you would choose differently. And rips him out anyway.
Because she apparently can. Yeah, that makes sense that she could do that.
Manual compliance has been authorized. Meaning they can rip him wherever they want.
Yeah, and her whole thing is, you're supposed to do this one thing. This is what I recruited you to do, and when you're done with it, you'll get to go to your wife and kids, who she is confirming are real, supposedly.
Yeah, but I don't know how much I trust this woman. And apparently neither does. I really love this when Tariq picks up the phone and he goes on his Liam Neeson from Taken, like, I will find you wherever or whenever you are, you know? And he says, do you hear me? And his teeth are like glowing green.
And his hand is smoking as he slams down the rotary phone. But then on her end, her handset is as well.
And it burns her. And she has a cat, mind you.
Does have a cat. That's strange. Like, right? Like, we don't know what the deal is with that.
No, we don't.
and how he could transcend what we believe to be the time stream.
Yeah. And then he rips off the August 36th, and the date behind it is August 36th, which means that it's always August 36th.
So that means it's not a date, it's a place, because previously she said, find me. But yeah, it looks like it's like something you take, so then you know where to go or what to do. And everybody who takes it's supposed to go or do the same thing.
But how's that? Like, now I have more questions because he leaves this room. They went to Detroit and he's immediately attacked.
Yeah, by militaristic soldiers who we don't recognize right away. They just look like armored military personnel type folks. And we get a healthy dose of transformed Geiger running down the hall, melting people, breaking through walls with some robbly, incredible sound effects, some chooms and some thooms. Some hero landing, taking out the two dudes.
This splash page where he's like, oh, more people than I thought.
And all he has to say to indicate that is the panel right before he just says damn in like a really quiet, small chat bubble. And then we see a few dozen military people coming, and you can tell he's not like scared, but he's just like, wow, there's a lot of people coming for me here. And I love it because we got so much out of this issue in such a small span of time, because he begins to fight them.
And some of them are robots.
And they're Junkyard Joe bots.
Was he Beta?
He's Beta, and the custodian needs him so that the rest have one to follow, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like Tariq even giving a really large release of his usual kind of blast energy. We don't see them. Well, they're like knocked over, but
their fake skin melts away.
Yeah, but they can still run back up to him and try to like hold him down, because Junkyard Joe is designed to be radioactive absorbing or powered. And
then we see him.
Yeah.
Where is my robot?
And the custodian. Yeah, it's so nice to see that come back, and such a dynamic world and story to go from him being with his family to then to learn all that about this new player, and then back to this character that we already dig and remember from such a classic story. And it's cool how I emphasize not the Terminator aspect, but that the robots don't have real skin, like right just with that big arm off to the side. And it says that the next issue is called I, Robots. So more about that to come. He doesn't know that Junkyard Joe is with Dr. Molotov, Nate, and Zigzag. Did you notice how the preview page for Geiger 24 is Junkyard Joe fighting a bunch of robots?
Junkyard Joes?
Yeah, and it's an homage to the issue where Geiger was fighting off a pile of organ people.
Yeah.
Only in comics, ladies and gentlemen, does that work. Because it's like an internal thing within a thing within a thing. I love that. But yeah, Department of Historical Preservation. This was one of the ones that was featured in the guidebook.
Yes, it was. And then we turn the page again, and my beloved, it's your face.
Yes, so this is super cool. And it's neat for us to be at the start of this new thing that they're going to be doing. I believe at the end of a lot of issues. I don't know if they're going to do it at every issue. More power to them if they are. And it looks like it's going to be called Machine Heads. And that's a reference to fans of Ghost Machine. It says spotlighting our favorite Ghost Machine fanatics. And it's an obnoxious picture of me in front of my comic book wall. And there's some questions they ask you about. And I think this is pretty cool. It reminds me of like in the 80s when I was growing up, or the 90s. Sometimes they'd have in the letters column other stuff. And this is like that because they had me talk about what my favorite comic collectible is and what my favorite character and all that kind of stuff that you would ask somebody who's a fan of something. And I even shouted out my local comic book shop, Up, and Away in Blue Ash and Cheviot, Ohio. So pretty neat. That was a real pleasure to turn that page, man. That's an unforgettable thing. So thank you so much, Ghost Machine Pro. I also thought it was cool on this same page. They've got some other stuff. They have a comic shop spotlight, like a retailer spotlight. This one's about Paradox Comics and Cards. And they've been doing a lot of cool stuff online with Brad Anderson. They're out in Fargo, North Dakota. He attended a convention with them and he had a table for Ghost Machine. It was super cool. And so that would be neat. Like, I really like that idea, seeing that. I don't feel like I see that a lot, like a spotlight of like a retailer. I feel like if they could do more of those, that's cool. It reminds people like, go out and buy these at these places. And then they have like a thing on the bottom, kind of like our listener mail, which we're going to do one in a minute, is Ghostgrams. And it's somebody who asked on Instagram when his first ghost coming out. And the short version is come to San Diego Comic-Con and maybe find out more.
And then we get the whole rundown of this crossover event, by the way.
Oh, more for the Unbelievables. Yeah, $1 trillion. And don't forget the 0 issues are first. So the 0 issues for Hornsby and Halo and Rockefellers were already past the FOC date. But yeah, this awesome 2-page spread. This one's by Yvonne of all the characters in the Unbelievables universe. And this is $1 Trillion Kid 1, Hornsby and Halo 14, Rockefellers 13, and $1 Trillion Kid 2 to be preceded by the 2 0 issues. So don't forget those, that you got to snag them up if you did not pre-order them. And there's fun new from the Comics on Coffee people. They've got a red coat tea. So you got to get yourself some red coat tea. But speaking of spilling the tea, we have a fantastic mail to wrap up this episode. Would you like to read it?
Yes, it is from Elisimo.
I think so.
And they ask, what character from the big two would you like to see team up with Ghost Machine? Ghost Machine character is what I'm assuming they're going with here. I already have my answer.
What's your answer?
Wolverine and Geiger.
Really? Why?
Well, Wolverine is kind of a sad guy too.
Like Old Man Logan Wolverine?
Yeah, and I mean, is he not an immortal-ish as well? Can he die?
Wolverine, he lives like a really long time. What we think, but not, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, does any comic book character die? Probably not.
Not in Marvel and DC.
No. But I think somehow that could be cool because he's a mutant, and Geiger's essentially a mutant. I think their personalities would work well. They'd hate each other real hard for a bit.
Well, mutant in the Marvel universe is defined by being born with powers.
Oh.
And being feared and hated by those you protect because they resent your gifts. Whereas one granted powers by, say, a radioactive accident would simply become a hero of the people. But not so much in post-apocalyptia in the world of the Unnamed, apparently. Not that way. My answer would be John Constantine in Hyde Street.
Oh, yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I would really enjoy that. That's my final answer right there.
I like how quickly we both had one.
I would love to see that as my first thought. And if you would like to share any of your fantastic thoughts, you can email us a question, a heckle, a suggestion at ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. And if you'd like to check out all of our other fun stuff, you can do so by visiting www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find our social media platforms, our wiki, and if you'd like to join the conversation on Discord, the invite is on our profile on Instagram at Ghost Machine Fans or on the Ghost Machine Comics Reddit in the announcements.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Well, so they took the time tank back.
Oh, no.